Hey YouTubers, it's Jessë Valentine Portz, getting ready to record with SisterFace.
And welcome world, this is HRH Radio, Waikiki, 33 and a third floor. I think that's fabulous, Miss Valentine. Today, folks, we are interviewing a fabulous friend of mine, and furthermore, an enlightened person, in my opinion, especially when it comes to the transgender journey, and someone who lives their life as they choose without any quorums, and actually seems to be really awesome to have in other people's life too, which you all know out there, kids and club children, DJs, entertainers. We've all been through it lately with our names, with our actual identities. Seems to be a huge thing, although we do seem to be winning the war these days. I think it would be great in the future that I'm going to start bringing these kind of interviews to the format for us all to be enlightened. I learn myself, and hopefully you will too, and also just to meet some fabulous people and start a new thing. So, Jessë.
Hey, I'm Jessë Valentine Portz, but you can call me Valentine.
Miss Valentine. She likes Miss Valentine, and say it loud.
Yeah, well, I'm just gifted with such an awesome name. Valentine actually is a family name of mine.
That's funny, because that was one of my questions, actually, down here. So we'll just start out. I have a bevy of questions. They're not really scripted, folks. You know me. I'm not perfect at all that. But I like bringing it to you pretty raw, and I threw these from my hip pretty much this morning. So let's ask a few questions here, and hopefully we'll learn something about each other, and maybe you listeners out there will be enthralled to be involved yourself. Send me some emails, my social pages. We're going to give Valentine's information at the end of the show or throughout the show, so you can get a hold of Miss Valentine. This will be seen and heard on YouTube and my SoundCloud. Miss Valentine, are you going to have this maybe on your SoundCloud as far as audio? Do you have a SoundCloud?
Yeah, I do have a SoundCloud, and I believe it's Valentine Architect.
Valentine, yes. Yes, kids.
And that's also my Facebook, Valentine Architect.
See, y'all are gagging right now, because I know in our community, meaning the LGBT community, we really appreciate someone that has an awesome title and education and has great insight and foresight and just creative. And obviously, to many of you out there, just hearing transgender architect should tell you something of what you really can do with your life. And hopefully you have some supportive people. And if you don't these days, youth and others that are transgender or are genderqueer or gender fucks or whatever you want to be called, it's up to you. But there's a lot of people now that you can all turn to online and in your own community. So one of my first questions for you is, actually, what you kind of started to answer is, what name were you given when you were born, and what is your name now? Like,
this is how I am blessed, because I was given a name that is gender neutral at birth, Jessë Valentine Portz, and I was blessed enough to not have to change it throughout my transition. And thank my parents for having such incredibly good taste in names. But, so many trans people have to go through so much to change their name. And I certainly went through it myself, too, thinking, it's like, well, do I really want to keep the same name? Is this really me? Is this who I want to be? And, over time, I got used to it. Thankfully, Jessë was not such a popular girl's name when I was born, but now, God, since the 80s and 90s, it became a huge name.
It has. I like it, too. It is very gender neutral, isn't it? It's very... Wow, I didn't even think of that until you just said that. And I think it's fabulous that you actually have that name. Why did your parents give you that name? Do you know? Is there anything behind it?
Well, Jessë, they just liked the name. They just liked the sound of the name, even though I did have an uncle named Jessë, and I found out later on there were some other Jessë Portzes out there.
So Valentine's dad's...
And Valentine is actually like an old family name. Like, I had a great-great-granduncle and cousin and
very Victorian.
A few other Valentine Portzes.
From? Like
from Germany.
From Germany?
Yeah.
It just sounds like such an awesome name.
It's a German name.
So, question number 2. Let's get right to it. Which sex were you assigned at birth?
I was assigned male at birth.
Okay. Now, do you feel, knowing that, did you feel different in your body very early on? Or did it come towards when you were going through puberty that you became more aware?
Yeah, I didn't really have a clear idea of gender when I was growing up. I mean, looking back on it, I have a different view because I definitely was trying to do things more like my mom than my dad. You know, I wanted to shave my legs when I was 4 years old. I didn't want to shave my face.
Now, see, was that like a natural thing, or did you think then, like when you were younger, like this is a playful, like this is just what I prefer?
It was just a natural thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until high school, like going through puberty, that I felt that I didn't really fit in either gender, honestly. I mean, I did look very girlish, and a lot of people thought I was a girl. Like I changed high schools actually in freshman year, and half the student body thought I was a girl and half of them thought I was a boy. So they couldn't really tell what was up, and I wasn't going to tell them.
In school, did you have issues, or did you always have people around you that wanted to be your friends, or did you have people that
Oh no, I was not a popular kid growing up in school. I definitely had issues.
So in high school, who did you hang out with more? Like when I was in school in the 80s, it was just natural. There were like the Hellions, they're the guys and girls who were, you know, or the heavy rock. Or
I was sort of, I guess you'd call me a band geek.
Oh, I like that.
I didn't really feel like I fit in with most groups, but I played bassoon. I started playing bassoon in 8th grade, and played bassoon all the way through the end of high school. And
so wait a minute, like
I was in concert orchestra and band.
Wow.
And hung out with all the other musicians mostly.
So that came with just some really unique people anyway, I would think.
Oh yeah,
with musicians.
for sure.
Definitely a good batch of people, and very non-judgmental people usually.
I made some more friends in Latin. I took Latin class, and
they're also
it's funny, some girls really hated it when they found out I wasn't actually a girl, and they just ostracized me. And some of them actually wanted to get to know me better because they couldn't figure out what my gender was.
And do you think that a lot of girls that were in that position with you felt safer around you? Like understood you more than the other boys in school that were all just worried about
I don't know if they felt safer, but I think they were just kind of curious. And the girls there were some girls though that felt kind of betrayed, like I was going to tell secrets about them or something. And I'm like, please.
Very like my ordeal with like jocks that would become my friend, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, don't tell anyone you hung out at my house, or some shit. Wow, that's... Now, with men, did men pick up on your femininity, and did they try to, like, certain men that stood out? Like, there's a few that are awesome through life, and so they're already experimenting themselves. Did you have
my really close friends, for sure, and my really close friends were also the kind of people that, they were sweethearts, honestly, but they weren't necessarily the popular kids,
Are you in contact with any of them still, your childhood friends?
I am in contact with a few friends from high school still.
That's nice.
Not super close, but yeah, we're in contact.
Me too, the same way, definitely. Okay, so how old are you now, Miss Valentine?
Oh my God, you're never supposed to ask a lady that.
Yes, give me an idea, because I like to know what generation you come from.
I know. I'm in my early 40s.
Okay, that's me. That's
yeah.
So we come from the same generation.
Born in the beginning of the 70s.
Yes, 71 here. Oh, you don't have to tell me yours. So that says a lot, because you're. I feel a lot different about people that come from our generation, and then our parents' generation, and then the kids in the 80s. A very interesting generation for them. And the kid took to the end of the 90s for people to kind of, the new generation, to maybe a lot more intelligent in the computer realm, but not so much in the culture realm. So we come from a time, I think, even you going through everything you've been through, where you've seen great change within our own community, meaning the LGBT community.
So much change.
Within transgender, within our own community.
Right.
I mean, it's...
Well, and I was lucky, too, in that I was exposed to it probably earlier than other people. You know, I grew up in LA, Southern California, in the 70s and 80s, and, you know, my parents were very artistic. My dad's best friend was gay.
So you were immersed in just really good people all around, no judgmental.
Thankfully, yeah.
I was lucky with my mom, and my dad didn't know, but when he did, he didn't freak out, you know. And I was lucky too. Not the area that I lived in, though. You see, that's cool. You're like a Cali person. You're
totally, yeah.
I'm kind of jealous, actually, because I think in the weirdest way, I think my childhood might have been a little different because, bully, you know, all that stuff you have to go through. So, where do you live now? Are you still in California?
Well, I just moved back there about a year and a half ago. So, you know, we know each other through Honolulu. I lived in Honolulu for close to 9 years.
Oh, yes.
And it was, you know, Honolulu is an interesting place, but it can be a tough place to make a living.
It's a tough place, everyone, to make a living.
It was a
really
good place to transition full time, thankfully. There's an amazing transgender community here. And
I agree.
Helpful doctors, helpful therapists.
While we're on that,
good laws.
Do you find that the transgender community here is a little different than the one on the mainland because of cultural values that are a little different? Meaning the Hawaiian transgender.
Oh, I think so. I mean, just because there is that tradition of mahu.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Culture.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, a mahu is the traditional Hawaiian term for the in-between gender, between male and female, and that could be whether it's gender presentation mahu or actual physical mahu, like intersex people.
And very much respected before it was...
well, during the Polynesian era, and then once the Christians came in, the opposite happened. And I feel like we're coming back from that a little bit, but... A little bit.
I think so. I keep being amazed every day these days, as I'm sure you do and everyone else around us.
Although the missionaries did bring us some bigotry, unfortunately, and sexism.
Huge bigotry and a lot of religious radicalism, that just really is kind of off-the-wall people. Although you all out there know in your own neighborhoods and communities how off-the-wall religious crazy people can be. Who do you live with? And are they supportive or not even a thought when it comes to your being a transgender diva? And she's a diva, darlings, because she lives her life, you see, and that's the message I want you all really to get from this.
Well, that's the big thing, is actually so few people are truly themselves, and that's the big part of transition, is you discover that there is a part of you that just has to be out, and you cannot be living somebody else's life. You have to be living your own life and be true to who you are, and not try and pretend to be something you're not just to make other people happy.
What age was that for you, the embracement, when you really just said, you know what?
Well, it took a while, you know. I was out to myself as transgender and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I need to have a female body.
Wow.
And I wish I had gone into therapy at the time, but at the time I was just so oppressed by the idea of having to tell everybody, having to tell my family, having to go to jobs and all the surgeries and everything you have to do. And
it's a lot.
I did a lot of research, and I was like, I don't know. I gotta try being okay with being a man for a while and see if I can work it out. So I stayed in the closet for 11 years. I was out to myself at 27, but I didn't come out to everybody else until I was 38. Although a lot of my friends knew. I mean, it was just like, I wouldn't do it at work. You know, I wouldn't dress up at work. I wasn't on hormones in any severe way, but I couldn't stop myself, so I did herbals for a long time.
Wow. How did the people around you respond when you did embrace? Like when you just said that's it? Like in 38?
You never know how people are gonna respond. My family, thankfully, was really good, but my spouse's family was not. My spouse tried to be okay with it for a long time, but then ultimately was not. But we had some other problems too. It wasn't just the gender issues. I mean, I think if both of us got one thing out of it, we both got comfortable with being lesbians.
Okay.
You know, she kind of got out of the closet about being a lesbian, and so did I.
Yeah. What? Now, and you are a lesbian. Are you considered you consider yourself a lesbian?
Pretty much. I don't actually. I'm pansexual.
Please, because even for me, everyone, this is where I'm going to stop. Unscripted madness here. What is pansexual to people that are listening?
It's like pansexual is I am attracted to all kinds of people, and what's between their legs doesn't necessarily define who I'm attracted to.
Agree. I totally actually agree with that.
Some people call it soul sexual, or, you know, it's like...
Look, as a big old queen and devout gay man, I have a lot of fantasies and things still that are just off the wall to myself. So I guess, I mean, I wonder if most people would actually consider themselves in the future really kind of take that route. Like, I'm pansexual.
I can
pan in the way that it covers, like an arc.
It's like, so I'll be attracted to women, I can be attracted to men, I can be attracted to genderqueers or other transsexuals. You know?
That's a fun relationship that I haven't even been into before. So, me as a drag queen, everyone, you know I'm not transgender, but I'm a drag queen. Big, loud, bubbly, big thing. But I've never been myself, Hector, SisterFace, has never been out with another feminine kind of person who's just gender fucked as I am, you know, who like is really kinky on the underside, dressing up and stuff. I've never done that, really, believe it or not, people. I've been involved with themed men, you know, they like their leather thongs and things. And so have you had, let's get to that, have you had like a kinky side of relationships just because you are on this journey?
Let's get to that in a minute, but I want to follow up that other question you told me.
I'm sorry.
So you asked me if people who I'm staying with. I'm staying with, I'm renting a room at a house in Santa Barbara, and I haven't even told them I'm transsexual. They know I'm a lesbian.
And you feel like, I like this.
But they don't know I'm trans, and I see no reason in telling them, because I don't want to be treated like anything else than another normal woman.
I love this message. It's very important to hear this, everyone out there, because that a lot of you need to take a lot away from these conversations, including myself, people. And I think for families, not just transgender people, dads, moms, sisters, brothers, friends, peer workers, listening to this, think about this stuff because. It's just amazing, actually. It's really
so I'm really careful about who I actually tell I'm trans to, and like some people.
I prefer you say lesbian. I'm going to try to start saying that now. Like so, you all know I have a transgender guest, but she's a fabulous lesbian, actually.
I am, and I'm actually dating a genderqueer person who's assigned female at birth right now. And if you met her on the street, you'd think she just looks like a somewhat femme dyke. Mm-hmm. And she does that mostly, or they do that mostly, just because it's for business reasons more than anything. Mm-hmm. You know, and they're still trying to figure it out kind of themselves right at this time. So it's an interesting thing, and you don't always figure it out right away. You know, she was always kind of on the butch side apparently, but if you met her now, it's like she's very androgynous. You know, she doesn't really identify with having a gender, you know, because your soul doesn't have a gender.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think it does. Well, how could it? It's energy and
Dr. S, that's what I'll call her. Dr. S is a very spiritual person, a healer, meditator.
Now, a very important question. Have you completed your journey, or do you still plan to finish and go on and be complete? In your mind.
Complete is, I suppose, that's why I would say I'm a transsexual, not just transgender, because I transitioned medically, and I needed to. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't something that was optional.
No, because I mean, it's came out like you just were. Like a message within is like, no, this is who you are.
Yeah,
so that's really
absolutely.
like it is.
So I've been going to an endocrinologist and had hormones through traditional medical route for about a little over 5 years now.
A good person? You like this person? You feel?
When I started off, he was good, but it's hard to find a good endocrinologist, especially one that.
I want people to hear this.
Finding a good endocrinologist, especially one that specializes in sex hormones or has trans patients. I was able to find one that had a bunch of trans patients here in Honolulu. Thankfully,
so that's really.
He's
So that's like you're saying seasoned. You need a doctor that's seasoned.
And he's actually in the queer community. He's kind of like fighting on the cutting edge.
Okay, I like this. So, I like that. Are you allowed to say his name? Do you want to give him a plug? Is he an awesome guy? I mean,
all I'm gonna say is if you go to the, I think it's either GLAAD or the Advocate, and look for their best doctors. That's
one of those doctors.
Look for one of those doctors.
That's good that you gave that. That's cool.
Or go another place like other trans people go to would be the TS Roadmap.
Thank you. TS Roadmap. That's tsroadmap.com.
That's a very useful resource.
And that's really great for transgender community in general, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's really important, you all. So you're on hormone therapy.
So I'm on hormone therapy now, and thankfully, I actually had some breast development in puberty.
I'm going to just say something anyway. Since you brought him up, actually. She's been staying at my house because she's on this island. We're not like a state that came in. There's no bridge people. So like she's on the other island with her fabulous lover, and she has a fabulous gig on another a job, and she came over to visit me, and it's really awesome. And I noticed, I was like, oh, whatever. So she's like walking around feeling very like a lesbian lady, actually. Like a lot of the lesbians I know actually walk around with their breasts out and stuff. Not just you muscle guys out there. Hello, women do it too. You just aren't privy to it. That's all. If you're a drag queen, you're privy to it sometimes. But beautiful boobs. Hello. Great form, even natural. So that's a really important question as a male, okay? So do all transgender have to have an operation where their boobs look like these, like just these plump, round, fake things? Or is it all about that doctor you find that wants to give you these natural looking, sloped, they're really awesome. They're very natural.
Well, they are natural.
So yours are just natural all the way?
I have not had a boob job.
Oh.
Yeah, which is lucky. I mean, it's your genetics, and it's the hormones.
Thank you, because so the hormones is what brought them out, though, completely.
Right. Yeah.
Allowed.
I mean, I'm lucky, but not only that.
Oh, God, people.
When I went through
puberty, falling over right
when
now.
I went through puberty the first time, not the second time, but the first time when I was just 12 years old or something, I had some breast growth naturally. That never went away.
I got you.
And that doesn't happen to a lot of men, actually, but usually it goes away when you hit like 15 or 16. For me, that did not happen.
No, I didn't. I got moves. I'm chunky. You all know I'm juicy out there. So that's interesting for me to know. I mean, I don't know if I think I had. It took me a long time to have to meet other girls like you actually in the community, and then realized, oh wow, you didn't have surgery. Just the hormones kicked that in.
Yeah, and if I had started hormones even younger, like when you start hormones young, your body.
If society was different,
your body
you were
can.
Wow.
So like if you look at someone like Janet Mock, who was able to start going on hormones when she was 15 and 16, she never had to have her beard electrolyzed because it never grew in. She never went through a lot of the trauma you have by having to go through that whole.
You don't look naturally. You don't have a lot of hair. I mean, you have long natural hair, but you don't seem like your body has a lot of hair anyway.
I used to have hairy legs. I don't anymore.
Fabulous.
Thankfully, I
haven't done that yet.
Thankfully,
wow.
I never had a whole lot of hair on my chest or back.
No, it doesn't look like at all. Actually.
And what I did have was easy to get rid of with electrolysis and laser.
For people to know out there, these are great options that do work, repeated work? Or
Yeah, actually, the first year on hormones, a lot of it diminishes anyway. But
so being on the hormones themselves
will change your body hair. It won't change the beard.
Okay. But oh wow, so it don't affect the wow, can't they have something that helps affect the beard? Wouldn't that be awesome? If they could just trigger the beard? Hello everyone, they need the beard triggered.
Well, it looks like you can think of hormones as like adding stuff, but they don't take away anything. So trans guys still have the boobs, but they get a deep voice.
I got you. I understand.
And they get the beard.
Oh, I understand. I'm learning. I just learned.
So like hormones will kick stuff into effect, but they won't really take too much away.
You told me about you told us about coming up, but separately, mom and dad. The day they really, I don't know, I had a talk where it was one day that I do remember. It wasn't like a spanned out period of time. I knew she knew stuff.
Yeah.
But, there was the moment when, boom, and...
Yeah, I wrote a letter.
How was that? Oh, wow. Okay.
So I wrote a coming out letter to a whole lot of people, just so I could sort of like get it all out and like look at it, and then I had a conversation with them about it. And my mother is dead, unfortunately, but I do have a great stepmother and my father. And
you get a lot of beautiful looks.
He was definitely surprised. My dad was like, I've questioned my sexuality, but I never questioned my gender.
Wow, that's pretty deep for a dad. That's pretty... Okay, Dad.
He's definitely straight, for sure.
No, I got you. I understand that.
But it's interesting. And it was, but he was very open to it, and
that's great.
I have great parents.
Yeah, I know there's half of you out there, maybe more, that don't have this experience, but live from this, because there's other people with families and other people that can be your family. And,
and it's crucial to have that support. Actually going through the process, too, of having to go through puberty a second time as an adult is kind of life-ruining.
I understand you.
Because you kind of like, how you lose your mind and you're insecure through puberty? That happens again.
It's very insecure. I was, my puberty, I started getting chunky. I was thin till then. Oh, I didn't know what was going on. Oh, my God. So, siblings.
The opposite to me happened.
Tell us about your sister, right?
No, I'm an only child.
You're an only child. I don't even... Well,
Yeah, that's its own...
Well, that's good.
It's its own curse and blessing.
It is a curse and a blessing. I
wish I had a brother or sister.
Brother, sister through other marriage. So they're half, but the brother and me are very close. The sister's just really found me a couple years ago. That's an interesting process. She sees her brother and like headpieces that she just met, and my poor dad probably doesn't know what to say still. She lives in Edgewater, Maryland. And so I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry. Tell us about some of your closest friends, maybe one or two, that have been just uber, like the kind of friend that we all wish we kind of had. Do you have one of those or a couple of those?
I do have, well, you've been a good friend, for sure, of course.
I know, I'm crabby sometimes, but y'all know that. I'm crabby. I'm a neat freak. I'm breaking down.
Oh my God,
sorry, stop it,
such a neat freak. You get yourself into hysterics over nothing sometimes, but anyway. That's why you're a personality, right?
Her.
So my other, I have this great friend, Justin, who's been really helpful to me overall. He was one of the few people that was able to get me out of, when everything fell apart and my marriage fell apart and I couldn't find work in Honolulu, and I was broke and I was living with my parents in Virginia, which was a nightmare.
I remember. I think you were telling me it was a nightmare at the time.
Oh, God. Living in rural Virginia after being a city girl.
What's changed in Virginia since she's left?
Oh, my God. Not a good place for trans people to live, I swear. I don't know.
Be very honest.
I feel really sorry for my trans sisters and brothers that live out there.
I lived on Duke Street. It was not good. I felt like I would get killed sometimes just for having arched eyebrows.
And I had to... I had to drive an hour and 20 minutes just to get to Richmond. I was out in the country.
Wow, people! I don't have a clue what that's like, honestly.
And
So
Richmond, Virginia is like...
I've been to the Jefferson
That's the
Hotel.
capital, but it is so conservative. There's like one gay, maybe two gay bars, and one lesbian bar. And that's where the trans girls hang out, is at the lesbian bar.
Of course. Why do you think that is?
One, because we make even less money than most lesbians, so we can afford it. And two, a lot of us...
I got you there.
I'd say, like, you know, it's pretty evenly divided among trans women who like men and trans women who like women.
I like this.
Or trans women that like either one, like me. I mean, I'm usually attracted to women, but occasionally there's a man that comes along that I'm interested in. It's just a much less often occurrence.
It's interesting to me. I was wondering, as a drag queen, a big kind of personality, I get some freaks.
Oh, yeah.
Now and then. I mean, I don't even know what to say myself. Furthermore, believe it or not, people, I'm speechless and don't say a word sometimes. Just thank you, I love you, have a good night. You know, but some of it's quite tantalizing. Beautiful men, some women too. Very interesting. So, yeah, right? It's the sexual realm in itself, between even just drag, transgender, gender fuck, is just amazing.
It's tough, you know.
How could you label it almost?
I pretty much have to find people that are at least bisexual for them to even get me in bed.
I got you there.
You know, they just, if straight...
Do you make them feel easier?
Straight men or women are just terrible in bed for me, personally, because I have a different sort of body, I guess.
They are terrible. And I'm a juicy boy, so yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I'm sure, right? But I mean, look, you're.
But I have, you know, I guess my sexual response is different, and my sexual response is changing too. Like it has changed a lot.
Though.
Oh yeah.
Forward.
Yeah.
People, you can't see. Her friends will be able to see this on her YouTube. I believe so, and we'll give that information. And I'll have the links listed for you people anyway. That's a fascinating
This will be
realm.
on my private YouTube.
So thinking about the bi thing, I find myself that most of those people that would be the kinks are just forward, are bi through my time even.
Yeah.
So with transgender, I would feel a fierce lesbian like
so.
you make them feel more comfortable already coming into this.
It could be. Definitely the kind of people I attract has changed over time. Like, before transition, when I just looked like a cross-dresser.
Okay, yeah.
I was getting kind of like nasty old men. Oh my god, dirty old men.
I get military. They're military men. They're just... Well, this is Hawaii, and you all know. The military men are at all four corners, everywhere.
But now things have changed, for sure.
Well...
now I get...
I bet you
some of the... I get some of the awesome lesbians, pansexuals, but, you know, for men, it's like, now I'm getting like the 23-year-old panty boys in college.
Because they're well,
they want to be,
you all know
she's
right.
Beaten.
You all know she's right, because look, I'm 43, and me and my man now are getting hit up with all these, like, young guys wanting to be with young, older uncles and daddies and tube sock wearing guys in gym shorts that have these college boys, and I would love it, but I'm married. It sucks. Sucks. Y'all are very lucky, very kinky people.
You have a hot husband, so it's okay.
I do. I have a hot artist husband. If you all don't know out there, do you hang around transgender peers? Or a mixed array?
It's kind of mixed. You know, I used to be involved with support groups and things, but I tend to not do that so much. I tend to go for most social things and hang out with lesbians, because I find with the transgender thing, so much of us, we're just trying to fit in with it and go through it. But, you know, ultimately... I'm still recording, so it's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, people. I had a little...
So I would just say, too often it's like going to the left-handed society where all we have in common is being left-handed. So,
it's going to sound funny, I bet.
Yeah. So
very articulate when you say the left-handed thing, because most my man, you know this. You
Yeah.
all left-handed. You get
The funny thing about trans people, my therapist told me, is that a lot of us are not right-hand dominant, and that's me. I'm ambidextrous.
This is really cool.
I actually
Like, how did they know?
I write and draw with my right hand, but I can do the same thing with my left hand, and I'm.
You're lucky. So you can. I can sign with my left, but that's it.
The music thing kind of
Maybe a
helped
few
about
numbers.
that. No, but I mean, even when I was a kid, it's like I had to try and teach myself. Okay, I write with my right hand. I write with my right hand.
So you could, oh wow.
And then I taught myself how to, I was like, well, what if I lose my right hand? So I taught myself how to write with my left hand.
Okay, people.
This
If you
was my
ever
freaky
have
side.
an idea of why you should learn to use your other limb, your fingers, your hand, it's really that reason right there. Because
Or
you
play
just
a musical
never know.
instrument. Play a musical instrument.
Look,
that requires both hands to work in conjunction.
I agree with you on the music. I played the French horn. You'd figure at my size I would. I did. I played the French horn. It was hilarious. They had to stop all the time.
At least it wasn't euphonium.
So what are your hobbies?
What are my hobbies? My hobbies are,
You know, like, what do you love to do for fun? And
let's see, I'm really loving yoga these days. I want to start teaching yoga. I think it's really transformative for a lot of people, and it's most people in America don't realize it, but yoga is preparation for meditation, and meditation has been my spiritual source, especially since I've gotten kind of sober and gone through the 12 steps and tried to refocus myself on my spiritual path. That's been the big thing. So yoga is a tremendous help. And I love painting. I'm a fine art painter and photographer. I love doing that. So
she
days, that's
has
what I'm
got it
doing.
all hooked up. Yes, the doll does love doing photography. I would get a hold of her just for that out there in California, folks, or the Hawaii area. Because, you know, she just doesn't know where she's going to be in the future. But it is going to be between two of the fiercest states in the Union.
yeah, that's
So-
me. I'm floating between California and Hawaii.
Isn't that
It's like-
cute, you all? That's a new thing. You do the whole Hawaii, California living. You save a little money per year, just a little, and get a plot of land, I'm learning. What is your chosen field of work? I mean, I know we brought it up, you're an architect. But
I am an architect. It's not, and it's my chosen field because it seems like it's what I'm best at, and it's what I
Wow.
excel at. But
I've seen your work, drawings, work, inspiration.
Yeah,
It's
and I'm always
insane.
trying to push it forward, and it's always interesting because there's always more to learn about it.
For everyone who doesn't know, I love touting, so I don't know all the history about it, but Doll had something to do with designing a few Sephoras or inspiring a few designs for some Sephoras, and that's quite fierce because whether you all like to admit it or not, you hound dogs of makeup out there, you love Sephora, I do too. I just had to sneak that in, and her work's fabulous. Once again, give through the what is your website?
My
again?
website is well, the short version is jvportz.com. That's jvportz.com. And if you can't remember that, just type into Google Jessë Valentine Portz, and you will find it.
There you go, Google. It's the easiest, and you'll find everything on the doll. Jessë Valentine Portz.
Jessë with 2 E's, no I.
Jessë with 2 E's, no I, Valentine Portz.
And yeah, that's Portz with a Z, because we're German.
So you are currently dating.
Yeah.
Where did
and
you
I'm
meet
loving
this
architecture too.
fabulous person?
Oh my God, no, that's a story, isn't it?
Well, I would figure, I mean, because, we don't want to talk too much about your actual, we're about privacy, but I could say that. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's great for people to hear.
And
what was that about?
It was a...
Like that journey.
The journey, yeah, it's funny. I was trying to find someone who I was interested in for a long time and tried the online dating thing, and that was just a nightmare, honestly. It was no fun at all. And eventually I'm like, okay, well, if God doesn't have anyone out there for me, clearly I need to just work on myself and make myself better and just date myself for a while. So, I closed my OkCupid account and said, screw that, I'm going to church and I'm not going to meet anyone.
This doll went to church. This is a fierce doll. Yes, she has given up a lot of things that were kind of vices to us all and totally moved forward. And it's quite impressive to me, actually,
Yeah, that's part of being so... After my divorce, I just kind of went off the deep end.
What was that dating world like?
Because I thought I was with the love of my life, and then eventually she's like, I'm sick of your shit. You know, bye-bye soulmate. So...
Well, pitiful.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. She's quite fabulous.
Well, you know, she didn't necessarily say that. She's really sweet, but that was the honest truth.
I'm quite quiet, you all, because, you know, I'm talking more than this usually. But I'm learning things, actually. You know how you have a line of questions, and then sometimes you just kind of
Yeah, so after she left me, I'm like, okay, I just want to curl up in a whiskey bottle and die.
But she didn't.
And Mary Jane was the only woman who had never left me.
Here she goes on her Mary Jane.
So, you know.
She still believes in the Mary Jane for great medicinal reasons.
I do.
But the doll is not on Mary Jane, and nor does SisterFace
I
have
had a problem with it, honestly. Not everybody has a problem with it.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, but some people do. I might have had a problem with it. I've had a lot of time off. Oh, so
anyway... So I finally gave up on the online dating thing because I found like one boyfriend who was fun for a while.
Hey.
And, you know, at least I got some breakup sex going on there.
That's important, people. Just be safe.
You know, got to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he is this cute little bisexual chemist. So geeky. I loved it.
Oh my God,
but he was
jealous.
He was hot.
Bisexual chemist. Work. Ooh, okay.
And anyway, so I kind of gave up on the whole finding someone locally, and I was going to these lesbian meetups locally, but, you know, and there were some people that I was sort of interested in, but the more I got to know him, like, no, not really. It's just not going to work out well. We're not looking for the same thing in life. I am so picky. You know?
Maybe too picky? No. I am. I'm a juicy child. I'm a juicy fruit, and I'm so picky, I don't know how I've made it.
I'm not too picky, but it's like,
I can see
I'm interested in having a good, solid relationship. Like, I'm not someone who can just go have sex with somebody, and because that will just actually make me feel worse and won't make me feel better.
You're not a one-night hookup Betty. There's none of that doll going on there.
I tried it, and it was like, no, thank you.
It's kind of empty. This.
Oh, yeah, it made me feel
You get a gratification for all of a few minutes, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Like, what the hell? There's nothing to go back to.
No, I need to have my heart involved, honestly.
You seem to me to be very a heart-involved person. Absolutely. Which is really beautiful, because that means you're really probably more into devotion and really a journey in itself, another journey. Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful. I hope you two have a really good relationship, well, fun, you know.
And that's how I'm kind of, in a way, by having that focus, that's how I met the awesome person I'm with now.
Burning Man.
Yeah, because I went to Burning Man, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm seeing, all of a sudden, I was able to go to Burning Man. I've been to Burning Man now 9 times.
Oh my God, I've not been once. I know, I don't want to even get the amount of email that I want to get, but I really haven't. I mean,
but it's an amazing time, and I've met some amazing people there, and you know, I don't think I probably would have come out of the closet even as fast as I did if it hadn't been for Burning Man. Honestly,
hashtag Burning Man.
Because Burning Man lets you be yourself, and it's all about radical self-expression. And there's a free and open place to be yourself and not be limited by whatever gender you were assigned at birth.
There's no violence there, is there?
There's a lot of healing, honestly.
A lot of healing. And you find that...
There's only violence if you ask for it, you know? If you ask nicely.
I wouldn't picture it, though. I mean, I just wouldn't picture it my own self. But I wanted to ask. I mean,
there are kinky camps, you know.
Okay, that's not violent.
No, you learn how to...
Kinky.
Learn how to get flogged or tied up or something, but...
Safety word. Safety word. Well, this is funny, because, like, I was like, sexually, what is appealing to you? What role are you?
I'm a switch.
Switch up.
I'm definitely, you know, part of me likes to please and part of me likes to be pleased. So, you know, it's like I went to Burning Man and I camped with Camp Beaverton, a safe place for all women-identified people.
Wow.
Trans-inclusive.
This is fabulous when you brought that up to me, actually.
Yeah.
She told me a story, actually, I want to kind of bring up. Am I allowed to? It's in my head completely. So, supposedly, well, there was, not supposedly, and many of you out there, if this gets far enough eventually in the next couple of weeks, maybe you're one of these women. Was there a fabulous, like, camp overnight where women were, like, strapped on, and...
Yeah, that's our big event. We do a lot of classes where there'll be like how to squirt, female ejaculation, or boning babes, how to fuck women for women who are just
Hashtag boning babes.
the oval ascension, which is like a female circle jerk.
Okay. Wow, that's intense for even men. I'm thinking men are like, what? Yes, you heard it. You're not welcome, though, men. Don't try.
Yeah, no cisgender men.
No, must identify as a lady. That's right. Oh, wow.
But yeah, the main event is actually the Strap-On-a-thon, which is where, we open up the Beaver Dome, which is this giant dome, 50-foot geodesic dome.
That's amazing sounding. What energy must be flowing? Like, literally. I mean, I'm not even a sexual thing. That's probably like a lot of crazy energy.
It is a lot of crazy energy. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming because I'm a fire dancer. That's how I got into Burning Man this year. I was a part of the Fire Conclave performing before the man, and we had another performance the night before as a rehearsal they were burning this volcano thing. And so I got to the party a little bit late. It was like an hour after it started, and I kind of walked into this place, and it's like, it was just overwhelming. And I mean, I didn't have a partner too. If I'd had a partner, it probably wouldn't have been quite so bad, but I was just overwhelmed by the sight of like 50 women having sex all at once on the floor of the Beaver Dome.
Wow.
And being lesbians, voyeurism is considered participation for lesbians.
Yes,
but there wasn't a whole lot of voyeurism going on. Honestly, there was a lot of people actually having sex. So for a while, I sat between this woman who was getting eaten out and eating someone else out at the same time. And there was another
only on the SisterFace show.
Girls next to me that were, one was fucking the other one, and it just went on and on and on. And I'm like, okay, this is not for me right now because this is just too much, and I don't have a partner, and I'm not gonna just do a casual hookup. My heart has to be involved. So I went outside and I hung out with my campmates, and the next night, our neighbor camp, which was Camp Wasabi Kisses, which is a trans-friendly BDSM camp, had their play party, which was super tiny. They just started out. They've only got a small little setup going on with a few people.
Adorable.
Yeah, and so I went over there to hang out, and I thought, okay, well, I'll talk to the people over there, and I actually just sat out in front with the person who was kind of talking to people as they went in, saying what the rules of the space were, don't assume anyone's pronouns, make sure you ask before you do anything, negotiate everything beforehand, have a safe word, all of that stuff, make sure everybody has consent. And so I hung out and talking with Xander for quite a while, and who was running the camp. And then shout out to Xander or Glittery Animals on Twitter. And
say that again. Shout out to Xander.
Yeah.
Oh wow! And what is the other part of it?
Or they are Glittery Animals on Twitter.
Glittery Animals on Twitter. I'm loving that. I love that.
Yeah.
Aloha's you all.
So, anyway, I eventually Xander went off to the bathroom, and while they were at the bathroom, I went inside, and it was so mellow, because there were like 4 people there, and they were all just talking. They had a St. Andrew's cross and some inflatable beds, and there wasn't really much going on. But so I just sat down and started talking to this woman sitting next to me, and
how fun.
And she noticed that I had the rainbow wristband from Beaverton the previous night, and she had too. She went over there because she said she missed her queer people.
Oh, I love it.
And we were in the gayborhood,
Oh, is that like a whole area?
It's a whole area of Burning
Oh
Man.
my
Yeah.
goodness
We're in the
gracious.
neighborhood.
See, now that makes me want to go even more, maybe.
And went to Burning Man because her friends, her brother's really into Burning Man, but she doesn't do any drugs or drinking or anything, and that's what her brother's into doing at night. So she was like, okay, I got to get out of there.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go hang out with my queer people. And
so she's fabulous.
And that's how I got into talking with her, yeah.
And then voila, she lives in Hawaii.
Yeah, she's like, well, what do you like outside of BDSM? And I'm like, well, I'm really just into meditation and spiritual stuff. And she's like, oh, wow, that's what I'm interested in.
Oh, that's nice when you meet someone else.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to, couldn't handle the Beaverton thing. And she's like, that was the same way.
Oh, I couldn't handle it either.
Yeah.
I'd explode underneath my caftan, really. I wouldn't even be able to handle that, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I went next door a couple days later. I thought there was something going on at Comfort and Joy, which is our good friends over at the gay man camp. Comfort and Joy.
Work it out.
And I went into one of their tents, and they were having the gay male equivalent of that. And I'm like, oh, my God. They're like 50 men having sex.
Stop. I'm sure I might know a few of you, maybe. I bet I do. I bet any amount of money I do. Let me know if I know one of you guys that were out in the desert having some fabulous sex in some fierce tent in gay land. What is it called?
Comfort and Joy.
Comfort and Joy. I bet it was. Hashtag Comfort and Joy.
Yeah.
What do you want people to know about being transgender right now? I know it's an interesting question, but...
yeah, I guess I would want people to know that it's not a choice. It's it's not popular to say that it's a medical condition, but it feels like one to me because I have no choice about it. It's not a disease, it's just the way I was born.
Do you think society's done that too? Like the people that are the conservative, the haters, the ones that are like, oh, they're just different people, or there's no... I don't understand what's going on.
I mean, it's just the way we are, honestly. Like you can't choose to be gay.
No, not at all.
No,
you cannot.
And that's like what people don't understand about, say, like the surgery too, like bottom surgery, which I haven't said this yet, but I'm planning on getting. I'm on a waiting list to do it.
Fierce.
Thankfully now in California, it is covered as it should be. It is medically necessary.
It is medically necessary. Exciting. I'm actually excited.
Boob jobs are even medically necessary. Honestly, for girls that can't grow their own boobs, they have to have them.
That helps. Yes, I would think so too. Honestly, I would think that's very important. Maybe more so for the first.
It's not cosmetic. I mean, if you're not being able to even like get rid of your beard, like I have, it's oppressive. You want to kill yourself. You really do. I mean, I'm not exaggerating at all.
What is
I came so close to killing myself so many times.
Did you?
Oh my God.
Did you feel like there was anyone you could reach out to then?
There were times. I did spend a lot of time in therapy. Okay. I didn't get to the therapist soon enough, I don't think, and talk about my gender stuff enough, but I did eventually, and it helped.
It does help to just talk.
But you have to find the right therapist too. Like the first therapist I talked to about it wasn't really that.
Of course not. No, I was scared to death of mine. He was not cute.
Yeah, it's hard that way. So I think we are making strides in terms of getting medical care. I mean, honestly, I do think we need nationalized healthcare in this country. Obamacare has not fixed the problem; it's just gotten more people covered. Mm-hmm. But we still have the problem of rampant, uncontrolled costs.
I agree with what you said. By the way, people that ask me that a lot online that argue with me, I believe Obamacare has gotten more people coverage. Quite a lot of people, but not compared to the whole entire country.
I've got coverage now because of Obamacare, otherwise I would not be able to get it in policy.
It's true. I agree with that, but I think it could be so much better.
Oh yeah, I mean, all he's done is he's done a little patchwork, and I still know a lot of people that can't even afford Obamacare.
They can't, and that's unfortunate, actually. They should be able to. That's the first thing.
Well,
they should be able to afford it.
We should just have a universal coverage for everybody. There shouldn't be anyone who's not covered. And then the system could possibly work, and we'd Part of the problem too is we still have the profit motive as a fundamental driver of the whole system.
Yeah.
So people are going to drive up their costs as much as possible. And I had a motorcycle accident a couple years ago, and I didn't have insurance, and I had to pay all that stuff out of pocket, and it was ridiculous.
Gosh.
The insurance companies.
Oh, so meaning because you didn't have insurance when the accident happened, all the medical costs came out of your pocket until the end of the case.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You all know I've been hit, children.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of your life.
And not only that, the medical insurance at this point, like my Obamacare, says on a lot of my things, well, what we got you for your paying our premium is a reduced rate. We got you a sane value for your bill as opposed to an insane value that you would have gotten without insurance. And you can pay the rest.
Wow.
So basically, that's all I'm paying Blue Shield for is just negotiating a reasonable cost for my bills.
Wow.
So that's the messed up system we have
get quiet
in this country.
sometimes, people.
It's so true, though. It is.
It is very true. I will defend what I can, but I can't very well defend what isn't perfect.
So I'm all for getting a single payer system going in this country.
It's interesting.
And then if there's a single payer, then we can negotiate for real.
I think, yeah. What, do you think that's coming?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's going to take a different Congress, isn't it?
I can hope. I mean, I think it's going to happen in the states first.
Okay.
I'm thinking individual states will probably go that direction.
As good as Hawaii, maybe.
Like maybe,
you think that
maybe
will happen?
California, maybe Hawaii.
California would be
maybe Washington.
I think Washington is working on something, I thought, actually. Do you think it's important for transgender divas to be involved in politics and have their opinions heard and be loud about it? And how should they do it?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, I kind of felt like when I was first coming out, since I wasn't at all passable at that point in time, like I am now, then I felt like, well, what the hell? I'm just gonna be out loud as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a tough thing because if you're
because you want to slip into who you are, and you really don't want to have to deal with this kind of.
No, and then the outcome of that is then maybe you'll have to delete a whole lot of stuff on the internet and move to a different city if you want to move past that.
Wow, it's real, folks.
And it's not easy to do that,
No, it's not. I'm not even transgender.
I did a lot
of re-identifying.
I did a lot of activism, and when I lived in Honolulu.
Much, yes, you did.
But when I moved to Virginia, I felt I felt actually scared to, in so many ways.
What are some of your loud fronts? Because you are allowed at different fronts than just transgender.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, I care about the environment a lot. That's one of my main goals with doing my architecture is I want to build architecture that is healing to the planet, not destroying the planet. Stuff that can incorporate lots of, basically being a habitation for all kinds of other life and not just humans, not just bulldoze down a nice piece of nature and put a house there. Find a way to make nature a part of your house.
That's so important for our world to go forward. Do you think that's happening more and more slowly?
It's slow.
It's so slow.
Oh my God, it's so hard to even tell. But there are positive things that are going on. Like when I was in college, I was almost hopeless about trying to get environmental or energy efficiency or anything in architecture. Mm-hmm. And then since then, there's been the whole green bandwagon that people have gotten on. And it's better. I mean, I will say, some people talk about leadership in environmental and energy design. That's improved a lot of things because it took a lot of existing standards and combined them into a package that people could sell. And it's making buildings that are better than they used to be, but they still could be so much better. So, because otherwise those buildings would have gotten built anyway and they'd just be even worse than they are.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But so we're still trying to push it forward, and the construction industry is one of the slowest industries to change, and it's legislated a lot too. I mean, one of the biggest problems, I think, is just the laws we have on the books holding people back from improving what gets built, and people thinking that they have a right to tell their neighbors what they can and cannot build.
That is a point. That's hence a lot of cookie cutter neighborhoods across our land that look so boring, except for the trees growing on them. It's horrible,
It's
America.
true.
More separate. Get a piece of land and have a fabulous architect build your home. Work with them in a budget. They can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They really can. You know, there's a lot of architects out there I know.
Yeah.
Just through having for friends that aren't these high budget. They're very fair, and they're just. You know, they're there, so reach out. Don't get a cookie cutter house. And
or get involved in local politics and see what you can do to change the local laws to improve, you know, whether it's, you know, having a green roof or a composting toilet
to get
or
something back. Or
there's a lot of things that we can do that aren't actually legal because of the laws we have in most cities.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
I
mean, there are reasons that how happened back 100 years ago, but they didn't have the technology we have today.
Look,
100
your
years
own
ago,
shit
or the understandings.
your own shit could grow you in your own home on your roof or somewhere involved, like literally a part of your house. Your own shit, people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's carbon conservation. That's actually helping the atmosphere.
See, there we go. And it's bringing back food. And yes, the soil does become real soil. You know, there's a process, but you can do this at your homes. You'd be shocked. I'm learning a lot online like everyone else is out there.
You just let it rest for a couple of years, and it's great.
It is. Like that show I was watching, I was telling you, I was like, it's so crazy. He has got stuff from 2007, 2008. This is ready in 2007. I'm like, wow, it's like fine dirt. It's like fine dirt that you made with the help of some wood or some hay.
Yeah, you just add some wood chips to it. And
it really is amazing to me. It's amazing, people. I'm kind of blown away at what you can really do in your own home. Look, an architect like Miss Valentine can help you even live off the grid, kind of, sort of.
Oh, absolutely.
At most. Like, that's what she's all about, everyone listening to this show.
Yeah.
Wow, we've been talking a while.
Make
this
it
is fun.
self-contained.
I hope we have some listeners out there that really appreciate this and like just being a part of the conversation and learning a few things. We have a few more things to go over, some fun stuff. You know, well, not everything fun, like some fun things and kind of human. Like, let's get this out of the way since it's kind of a sad thing. I have an issue with this these days because us as humans live through a lot in our community where we live in the world. No matter where you live, this isn't an America thing. This is like anywhere you live in the world. What was the saddest day in our recent time for you as a human, not transgender, not a person? It's hard, huh?
Yeah, it is hard. I don't know. That's a tough one to talk about.
Do you find that maybe that in itself is the saddest thing? That we just can't, we get phased so much that it's like,
We do. I mean, I definitely had my own personal meltdown a few times.
Okay.
I
think
certainly, you know, I'm going to sound kind of like a wingnut maybe right now, but after 9/11, I was not surprised that happened. Honestly, I was expecting it, and I was listening to some radio shows where they had gotten Freedom of Information Act requests from the CIA, and they were talking about how wouldn't it be great if we had another Pearl Harbor type event that we could galvanize the whole America.
That's a good word.
Galvanize America behind the military machine and get the CIA carte blanche to do whatever they want, and they got it.
Well,
they totally got it. I mean, the World Trade Center had already been attempted to be bombed by some real terrorists that were incompetent.
It really did.
So, I mean, that wasn't a surprise.
Bother everyone about it
and,
still.
You know, I was kind of... And I was not doing so well anyway, because on some personal notes, I wasn't doing very well at the time that happened, and then I was like,
It was a
why are
bad
people
time.
surprised at this, you know? I mean, I was...
Oh, it amazes me that so many people were kind of surprised that terror
I mean,
happened.
when it first happened, I thought, oh, yeah, well, the CIA just got a fundraiser.
Well,
me, it was just...
For years
it
now,
was
they're just
obvious.
starting to be held back a little bit. In a different way, they're allowed to do other things now. The drone world we live in now, that's what 9/11 did. It propelled us into a new type of war.
Well, yeah, it was 1984. It was
and
war,
the permission
it was
to go anywhere.
war without end. It was surveillance without end, or wiretap,
Yeah.
you know.
It's crazy what's going on.
And I don't really feel like
Do you think
anything has changed significantly, honestly.
Do
you
you
know?
think that's the meaning in America's case? This is off the wall. Do you think America's using gay rights and marijuana as kind of a smokescreen now to just push through because so much doom is going on everywhere in the world? Like, is it a...
You always have to fight on a lot of fronts, I suppose, and you have to pick your battles. And everybody has their own pet projects, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's become more than pet, it seems.
Yeah.
Us gays...
So that's why the environment is my main thing, because I figure, even though I don't have any children, I don't have any children at all, and I can't have children, even though I kind of want to. I mean,
well,
they don't have the uterus transplant figured out yet, but maybe one day they will.
With they very well could. I heard about a report on blind people today.
Yeah.
Just today that they've actually been using,
Well, maybe one day it'll happen, but probably not in my lifetime.
Well, I mean, you always have the heart to have a child.
Anyway. Yeah. So I still think we should preserve the world for the children and for the other living things on this planet instead of just being on this path to destruction that we seem to have been on for a long time.
Very long time.
I just read this book called The Sixth Extinction, talking about how we're in the middle of the sixth great extinction now, and it didn't just start in the last 100 years. It started when man started spreading out of Africa.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the world's problems really started, honestly, with the Roman Empire and then the Spanish.
Yeah, no, we're talking like... I think it started about 100,000 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's way beyond, I mean, there's always been a fine line, I think, of...
Our species has become increasingly successful and set on world domination. I mean,
we
are in competition with the ants. The ants are pretty good at world domination too, but...
Roaches are the best.
They don't have nuclear bombs or chemical factories or...
No, they don't. No, they don't. We're killing off all the bees, which give us life. And, well, we can go on and on about that conversation.
Yes, we could.
I think the world's crazy right now.
So I'm doing my little part to try and make it better with good
architecture.
You're
good. Oh, I think that's important, your home world.
Yeah.
Around you, your community, more than anything. It really is. Wow. Yeah, where you live at? Santa Barbara.
I live in Santa Barbara.
Is it very supportive of you just being who you want? You don't have anyone up your ass or, like looking at you. I mean, that's a great area, isn't it?
No, I don't. It's a beautiful area. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. That's one of the reasons why I've stayed there, and I've actually made a lot of good connections and friends there. People have been really nice and are giving. It's a little bit odd for someone my age group because it's mostly older people and people in college.
But don't you find that's a good thing, maybe, I think? Because they're all busy going to school and they're kind of fun and hip, and then at the same time you got some people that are
when I was
settled.
looking for love, it wasn't so great.
Oh, okay. Well, you did say some college people are kinky and do like,
Oh, yeah, they're out there, but I think, I'm happier dating in my own age range, honestly.
Yeah,
but that's
I'm
just
used
me.
to it, I think, so I don't know what to say about that one. Do you have any transgender icons, people that inspired you, aunties?
I do.
I don't know why they came
there were
to me.
definitely some people that were very helpful when I started coming out here in Honolulu. I wish I was still in contact with them, but I'm not. But I definitely got some good tips from older transgender women.
Listen to that, people.
And so it's good to talk to your elders about stuff, know where you came from, know what the process is like, for sure.
And they'd be able to tell you.
And today, you know, I still have a couple trans friends that I've made in the Santa Barbara area, and you know, some of them are great, and you're on the same wavelength, and some of them, you know, some trans people you're just different.
You seem to go to hookups, like meetups.
I
was listening to your conversations.
I go to meetup.com.
Okay, it's meetup.com.
Yeah.
Miss Valentine Portz is giving you all a fierce plug. That's awesome. Well, that's cool. See, I mean, look,
it's a good way to meet.
A lot of this.
It's a good way to meet
anyone
people.
To mingle with,
it's way better than Craigslist, which is just going to be a nightmare of all kinds of nuts.
Craigslist is for kinky people.
I've met a couple cool people on Craigslist, so it's not all bad, but mostly it's terrible.
There's some good tops on there. Some download tops, I would call them.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think...
No interest in those.
So none of it. No, they don't... Look,
they're not going to respect
you. They're even
quick
comers. They don't respect you, and they leave and don't say a thing, and then they want to hit you up again. It's crazy. So do you think these days that the news in Hollywood... This is really important. Do you think Hollywood and the news are portraying the transgender community and movement correctly?
No, but it's getting better. It's been terrible. It used to be really terrible. Like, you know, the newspapers used to erase black trans women by calling them black man in a dress found murdered. You know,
you're right. I lived in Baltimore.
That used to be what it always was.
I saw stuff like that in the headlines. Weird stuff.
It's slowly getting better. I feel like, you know, I'm so amazingly happy that Laverne Cox and Janet Mock are getting a lot of good press.
They're great.
They are really awesome.
They've become some of our best ambassadors completely.
Absolutely, and I'm glad they're up for it. And, you know, I'm thinking because they're so gorgeous that at least the general community can listen to what they're saying without, you know, without being repulsed or something.
It's really a good point, actually.
Because, you know, not everybody's beautiful and passable.
No, it's just not going to be, world.
And they just, you know,
but they still
need the respect.
Yes, they do. Not just respect, they need
need the love,
They need the love just as much. And you people need to just learn to look right the fuck over the shoulder sometimes, really, and look at a human as a human. Because, you know, I just love that you...
Yeah.
I love that you brought Laverne up, too, because I've been kind of, quite frankly, galvanized by her. I just came out of kind of you know, and the show was before it was definitely, oh my God, definitely loud in the community, but just amazing.
Yeah, well,
I mean, proper. I don't know what else to say about Laverne, but just a fierce ambassador.
She is too, and I think, you know, the trans women of color are getting portrayed more well and not getting abused quite as much as they used to be is a great thing. You know, you can really judge a society by how well it treats the people on the bottom rung.
Now, in a whole realm,
trans women of color are definitely on the bottom rung.
Yes, they were actually a lot of the fierce divas I came up with as a kid, living in Baltimore, out in the suburbs, going into the city, where the fierce, just inner city, deep, you know, like black girls, you know, and the ones that called you boo for the first time. Hey boo, you know, what you talking about? All that stuff. I don't know if they still say that as much, but yeah, I mean, what about the news? Do you think they use not just transgender, but drag and LGBT?
It depends on the news outlet you're talking about.
Oh, well, we all know. We won't even give them credit, other people.
The UK tabloids are the worst.
They're hard. Oh, my God. I mean, I really think
it's in most cases it's gotten better, but you still see a little bit of misgendering sometimes where they get the pronouns wrong, but it seems like more people are trying these days.
They are trying, I think, and not even just trying.
And the people younger than us get it.
They're stuttering even, trying so hard, some of them. The Supreme Court, what do you think? You think it was a good thing they were quiet?
You know, No, I don't think it's a good thing. Because I think they need to come out on the side of equality.
Well, I think they'll have to eventually.
But I think our Supreme Court is so messed up in so many ways. I don't know where to begin.
Well, let's stay on topic. Yes, I could go on too about that Supreme Court. But they will have to step in probably, but in the reverse this time, meaning when a state tries to uphold their hate, they're going to have to step in. Not a weird one.
Because basically by refusing to do it, they're following the appellate decision.
Yes.
So they're going to have to enforce the appellate decision.
So you think that's going to be a battle for a showdown, actually? Or do you think Kennedy's just going to end that and be like, oh, no, this is...
Probably. Yeah. We'll probably see, like, Texas or Kansas or someone.
One of those try to challenge, like, be all uppity up about it. I'm waiting for that 11th district to go down. That little southern belt and that weird northern area.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the ass crack of America. She's about to be opened up quite wide, I think. And let's not kid ourselves about the fierce South. Way many transgender, way many everything. I mean, you all are mixed more than mixed. I love it. Yeah, it's time for you all to start embracing it more. What do you think about? I'm just going to throw a name on. What do you think about someone like Jindal?
Jindal.
Governor Jindal.
Oh, you mean in Louisiana?
It's like off the hook name here. Like, what do you know of him? Do you think he's an asshole? He puts his foot in his mouth maybe a lot.
A little bit. He's another politician. He represents his state.
An Indian in Louisiana. I never thought even myself. It's just amazing to me. I would think there'd be a fierce black governor before.
Yeah.
It just always amazed me.
Or a Korean, honestly.
Oh, because...
Koreans are very conservative, old school, just like Bible Belt people. You get to know them.
Ooh, yes, they are. Oh, I wasn't even thinking. They are pretty conservative.
But I don't know. We're in Hawaii too, so I guess I'm thinking about that kind of thing more. Because being in Hawaii, it's a different vibe.
What do you think about the LGBT progress? And do you think we've come farther in our lifetime than you thought that would have so far?
Well, certainly I feel like it's just since I started, just since I was out to myself as trans but not out to the public and seen what has happened, there has been an enormous improvement in terms of how trans people get treated. That's for sure.
A huge
But it still has a long ways to go, and we can still be fired from our jobs for being trans or out as trans.
Yes, people in your own states, you can change that. You can change that, people in your own states. Start writing your senators and your district, whatever you need to do.
Supposedly we're covered under the sex protection of the equal...
You are.
But you can't Equal Opportunity Act, but, that's so unenforceable.
Yes. Look, if y'all are having issues out there in your state, go to your state's Civil Rights Commission if you are. Yeah. Since we're on the subject, they are awesome. Don't ever be scared of them, please, people.
Right. Or contact someone like the Sylvia Rivera Law Project or the Transgender Law Center and try and get some legal help if you need it.
Definitely. Never give up. And never, ever, especially when they're in the wrong, or just don't know. They're not educated. A lot of people still people. And radical people, we know they're not educated anymore. So, what is America's three biggest, and only three, they can be in one word or whatever. What is America's three biggest problems right now?
Okay, one word for three problems.
No, meaning like you can be one word, 3 words. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be 3 answers though, no more.
The 3 biggest problems would be our monetary system is still broken. Never got repaired from the big crash that happened in 2008, and we still don't own the Fed. That's privately owned. They're making all kinds of bank. On our existence, we had the greenback for a while. We had Andrew Jackson finally got rid of the central bank at one point, but we really need to go back to not being on a debt-based monetary system. We have a debt-based monetary system, and it's putting us all in the poorhouse, except for the very few at the top.
What? Okay.
Number 2 is climate change, and that's going to cause so many problems just from rising sea levels, people getting displaced from their land,
It has already.
people not being having food, people dying of heat or floods, or just it's going to be a long,
and
hard
it's going to
road.
happen even before we die. We're going to see a lot of crazy stuff. We're starting.
It's already starting, and it's accelerating.
Isn't it funny that they deny it? That they say
some people want to put their heads in the sand.
it's just money too. I think it's just money. I think most of them know, oh, we are changing, but we'll keep our mouth shut just for money. We'll just keep screaming.
Things people do for the love of money is crazy.
Number 3.
Number 3 would have to be, I hope we get a democracy one day in this country.
Ooh.
We don't live in a democracy. A lot of people don't realize that. We have a republic.
No, we have a republic. A real one. That's funny.
It's true. If anything, a world democracy, I would say, so that everyone is represented in one court, and that way we won't have China fighting with America, fighting with Russia about who's going to clean up the environment and the air,
Are you nervous about any particular country not being look, let's put all conspiracy or even kind of favoritisms. Where's the danger spot in the world that you as yourself are worried about? Other than America. We know America's crazy right now that live here. We do. It's getting expensive. It's nuts. But where in the world are you kind of nervous about?
Maybe we could get occupied by Afghanistan and they could give us some democracy.
So do you think we're better at spreading it other places than actually practicing it ourselves?
I don't think so.
We're not great satellites at that, huh?
No, we're good at making bombs.
What do you think that secret shuttle's been up there doing?
Russia is concerning. Russia's very concerning. China is also very concerning.
I want people to hear this because it's important.
I think China is the sleeping beast for sure, and she's not even really sleeping that much anymore.
Yeah, she's
but they're powerful. They just haven't realized their own power yet, because their whole culture is just kind of insane, and they're like, we can't even control it ourselves.
They can't.
Hardly.
Yeah, they're almost. I don't know. I hear that. Actually, I agree with you on that one.
So if China ever gets their act even more organized than it is, and actually has full democracy, they're going to be the ones for the next 300-400 years in power. But who knows? We'll see. You never know.
China.
It's like Afghanistan, Pakistan. They're thinking, we used to have the British, we used to have, all these other groups come in and take our land. And then it was the Americans. Next it'll be the Chinese.
Oh. Well, kids, you heard that. I mean, yeah. I live in Hawaii, and I don't really know what to think anymore. I get nervous when we hear that, big, giant Russian bombers, even for show, are going on the coast of Alaska and California, or up out to, 10 miles to sea. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what's flying over us at night, because I don't know. And I get nervous about if something happens with, honestly, Russia or China especially. I'm like, oh, they'll use us right away. They will just come for us. We're not worried about North Korea anymore. Yeah, very interesting. We live in a crazy world.
North Korea was always a red herring.
She's a red herring, but we need to stop letting her take our people. I don't know how we deal with that. Do we send them vegetables? Maybe they'll stop taking our people. Maybe that's all it is a cry for help when they actually take these people of ours. They want some sort of negotiation. God, we'll keep on going. Kids, this has been actually fun. I rarely
it's so much fun.
It is actually. I rarely talk like this to most of my friends, like this, asking them questions like this. It's fun. I will try to just put it on whole as is, not changed really at all. I did accidentally let my thumb hit a few times, so I might be a little jump. But I appreciate you all listening. This is for great education. There has been some adult moments on this show. I'm sorry about that, but it's all reality, and I'm not going to hold back, nor do I expect my guest ever to either. I want to send out love and alohas and blessings to everyone that is listening to SisterFace and Miss Valentine Portz.
Bless you all.
And I want Miss Valentine Portz one more time clearly to give out her information as she wants you all to, and then wherever this is posted, I'll have her links. Okay, kids? much alohas to you, and off to Miss Valentine.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure for me to do this with you. I know we've been trying to do this for years and years now, like probably 5 years you started talking about this. I'm like, yeah, let's do a talk show. Let's put it on YouTube or whatever. So I think it finally comes to fruition as I'm visiting here in beautiful Honolulu.
She tried to get me on as sister.
Come on. Well, some other time we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
They do have a few websites for you to check out. You can find me on Facebook at Spacecraft Arch. You can find me on my website. It all goes to my website, which is JessëValentinePortz.com. JessëValentinePortz as in zebra.com, or JVPortz.com if you can't type that much. And I'm linked to all my other pages on that site. And if you go down to the bottom, you can find my Twitter, you can find my Facebook, you can find yada yada yada. You know, my Instagram. It's all out there.
Yada. She's everywhere. Just be smart. Go to Google, type in Valentine Portz, and she'll come up. I'm guaranteeing you. You'll love her symbol, by the way, also. It's been quite a pleasure. I thank you very much, Miss Valentine. It's giving you aloha for letting me do this. And I love you all out there. Hey, Sobel Radio, if I'm up on there. And if not, you can always find me on HRH SF Radio on SoundCloud and YouTube. All my sites, Mixcloud, whatever, everywhere on the internet. SisterFace, I also, at the last moment, want to say a quick thank you to Facebook for letting us have our names back. Not going to get all involved about it this episode, but it meant a lot to me. I'll be very honest, and I know it means a lot to a lot of other people. And hashtag Lil Miss Hot Mess. Lil Miss Hot Mess is the person who got SisterFace's name back, and I'm very grateful to her and her efforts in this movement for drag queens and so many transgender, so many people in even the adult industry.
Yes.
I just want to thank you. It is their right to have their names, the people they make the money off of, the characters they create, and furthermore, even for protection sometimes, as we all must realize, as I'm thinking they are now.
Tell it.
So, alohas and goodbye to you all from 33 1/3 studios above Waikiki. This is HRHSF, SisterFace. Aloha.
Love you.